Welcome to the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. My name is Rob Murgatroyd, and I am a former doctor turned lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I interview some of the best minds on the planet on the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. Today's episode is a mini-sode that we call Fri-Date with the Wife. In these mini-sodes, my wife Kim and I deconstruct the strategies that we've developed over the last decade to not only grow personally, but to turn our struggles into lessons and create fulfillment in all areas of our lives. Excuses are over. It's time to live. Let's dig into today's topic. All right, before we jump into this episode, I want to invite you to be considered for my Work Hard, Play Hard Mastermind by completing an application at workhardplayhardmastermind.com. So this mastermind is not like any mastermind you may have been to or heard of, I promise you. This mastermind is for 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs that are working too damn much and aren't taking the time to have amazing experiences around the world with an incredible tribe of people. So every 100 days or so, I drop you into new experiences that are specifically designed to elevate your thinking, to give you new ideas. Look, you get your best ideas not staring at a computer. And actually, this is the way high-level people really collaborate with each other. They do it over a glass of champagne, watching the sunset in the south of France. So if you are ready to do some fun stuff around the world and really, really want to level up your tribe in one shot, fill out an application at workhardplayhardmastermind.com. We'll jump on a call and we'll see if it's a good fit. All right, let's jump into today's episode. What I wanted to talk about today is how do you want to end this bitch by the end of the year, right? December 31st, whether we have COVID or not, is going to be coming. And when COVID is gone, we're still going to have a December 31st. And before COVID, there was still a December 31st. And there's something about looking at the end of that year and saying, I accomplished what I set out to do, right? We all know you set the New Year's Eve thing in 2 weeks, the 10 pounds that you want to lose, you didn't lose, you never think about it again, and yet you get obsessive. But you don't have much of a check-in process over the course of the year. So let's sort of reverse it. Instead of talking about on January 1st, what we want to do for next year and write off 2020 as this horrible pandemic year, what if we reframed it and said, how do we want to end this horrible pandemic year? What does it look like for you?
What does Q4 look like, right?
Yeah, it's very very corporate of you, Q4.
I was just on a corporate meeting yesterday, so it's in my head. Mm-hmm. What is the last quarter of the year?
It's a good thing they don't say 4Q, because that would be a little offensive.
That was funny.
Thank you.
You usually don't have good jokes, but that one was good.
Did you hear that?
I'm looking at my 2020, and there's a part of me that's like, I just want to end the year like on 2 feet. Mm-hmm. Like if I roll into the new year and I'm alive and I haven't, killed my child or you by then, and we're not divorced, then I'm going to take it as a win. But then there's the other part of me, like this year has been complicated, right? We have Sophia home, we're educating her, and we are creating new products in the Work Hard, Play Hard brand. And all of those things I think are great. And I feel like I have done nothing personally to do and accomplish the things I want to accomplish. And so I'm going to pack them all into the last quarter of the year because I want to go into January 1 proud of the momentum that I created and the things that I've done. Because there are things that are rattling around in my head and have rattled around for a year or more. And I am going to make them happen in the last quarter.
Well, let's do a little live coaching if you're up for it.
I don't know. Does anyone want to be coached by their spouse?
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What is it that you want? In other words, if we wave the magic wand and we come to the end of 2020, what do you hope is in there?
What am I putting into my vortex?
Yeah, what are you putting in your vortex? And why is what you want not there currently?
So there's 3 things that I want to focus on through the end of the year. The first one is we are writing together Stupid Idea Time, right? And that's going to just take the process it's going to take. So I'm not going to push too hard on that because I think we have a plan. But what I do want to do is write a couple of children's books. And I have been wanting to write, actually, the first book I ever wrote, crows, was when I was in the first grade. And I'm looking at Sophia about to go into the first grade. And it's a reminder for me, like I was in the first grade, I wrote a little children's book. I actually won an award for it. It was like, and just ask my mom, she'll tell you all about it. She probably has a certificate. But I've always loved writing, and especially like children's books since then. But I've always said I wanted to write one, but I haven't actually done it or had a great idea for it. And with all of the work we've done with Esther and mindset, and when I watch Sophia take her friend who wants to learn how to do a cartwheel, and she tells them, close your eyes, now visualize what you're going to do. Now say, I can do a cartwheel. Like she coaches them with visualization, affirmation, and all of this. And I feel like there's something that I can relay in a children's book. That's one part of it. The other part of it is Sophia and I have created this magical fictional world that when we go to sleep, that's where we go and we meet in our dreams in this fictional world. And we have drawn it. We have talked about it in detail. Like you would think we actually go there. And I'd like to bring that to life in a book. And why haven't I done it? I'm going to tell you every excuse, but the only thing that matters is I haven't done it.
All right. So
that was long.
I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong.
Thank you.
So, no, I'm kidding. Here is some coaching advice.
Can I take notes?
You can take some notes. Here is some coaching advice that I would give you.
Is this being recorded?
This is being recorded. Let me tell you first what I love about this. You went directly to your why, right? You want to do it because you had a reference point when you were in first grade. You won an award for it. There was the process of writing that you loved. So there's a lot of why energy behind it, and those are the things that usually get done, right? When you have a bunch of why.
Do you know what it is? It's not even the why. It's I'm listening to the little, voice inside. We can call it the soul. We can call it my higher self, my inner being, whatever it is. But this is something that has nudged me for, how old am I? 41? For almost 42 years. This has nudged me for almost 42 years. Like this has always been inside me. And so, but I just haven't had the idea that hasn't come to me, but I feel like now it is.
So the nudge has been writing specifically, but not children's books.
Well, no, children's books is where it started. I have a lot of books that I want to write. I want to write children's books. I want to write the books we're writing, and I also want to write a screenplay.
What's the nudge now?
The nudge is children's books.
Okay. So
I want to write a series of 3.
Okay. So let's move into a little bit of coaching, but I want to do it from a completely different perspective. And I want to do it from the perspective of the art of allowing this. And I'm going to encourage you to go higher and to go more general with this process. So instead of sitting down and saying, okay, on Thursday morning at 9:30, I'm blocking an hour to write. It's too much, too quick, too soon, and there's not a lot of pre-foundational work that's done before that from an energetic standpoint. What I would recommend is the following. I would recommend thinking about as you go through the day today and at night when you go to sleep and when you go through this process, say things to yourself like, I love going to sleep at night with Sophia. I love how she says that we're going to meet in our dreams. I'd love the idea of sharing that process of fairylands with other kids who can go through the same thing with their parents at night. And I see other parents that are sitting there, maybe a mom, maybe a dad, maybe a step-parent, an uncle and aunt, that's sitting there reading this story and teaching their kids about fairylands and how good they're going to feel, because I know what it feels like for me, and I know how exciting it is for me. And then we get to wake up the next morning and say, did you meet me in your dreams last night? That kind of energy starts to put forth into motion out there in the universe what it is that you want. And then things start to unfold for you. You start, one day go to a coffee shop and run into a guy who publishes children's books, and you have a conversation with him, but things start to move in alignment with that. So that would be the first thing. So how does it feel when I say that to you?
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm actually already in that space because I have been thinking about it so much and running through, like the other day when you went surfing, I had to wake you up at 4. I couldn't go back to sleep, and I was in this like half sleep. And all of a sudden, all the ideas of what this story could unfold to look like were flooding my brain. And it was amazing.
Well, you know what's interesting about this? When you are in that sort of twilight state where your conscious mind is not completely rebooted, but it's still a little like you're half in another world and half in this world, that kind of sleep.
Yeah.
That filter is very porous, and it allows that, that sort of energy of what you're working on to come through. So I love that you're getting that in the middle of the night. So if we went a little less general from what we just talked about, because you're already doing that, and we made it a little bit closer to working on it, but not quite there, like just sort of like getting in the feeling of it, what would be the next feeling? I'll give you an example. It could be, I really love writing. And when I think about, somebody like J.K. Rowling, who dropped her kids off at school and, sits there in a coffee shop and dreams up this Harry Potter idea. And every day, she goes to the coffee shop with a plastic case of files and, just starts writing and dreaming. And, that led into this giant thing. And I'd love to create a space for myself where, there's a block of time where I had, my favorite tea and, some music, maybe some inspirational pictures around me. And, you're setting the foundation for what the process will look like for you to move into next. What comes up for you when I say that? Honestly,
what I think I need to look at is, as you know me, I have to write out of inspiration, and not because on Monday at 8 a.m. I'm sitting down to write. I don't operate that way. Rob does. So this is a really good lesson in know thyself. But I'm trying to determine in my brain, where is the space that I can create like that to get the writing done. And that would be motivating and exciting and interesting. And I'm honestly debating leaving you for a night and going to a hotel somewhere and doing it there in some place that's really inspirational to me. So not that I want to leave you, but I think that might be what I need to do to make this happen and to accomplish this goal. One, because I am getting these nudges in these details, and that state that I was in where it was like half sleep was almost like a super deep meditative state. That's what it reminded me of. And so I need to do more meditation to allow the ideas to flow. So the reason that by the way, like I know this is live coaching, but I want people to get something out of this. I want you guys to see that, okay, so I have a goal, but I'm not just going 8 a.m. on Monday, I'm going to do it. And then because at 8 a.m. on Monday, I would sit down and go, I don't know what to write, because it doesn't work like that. There's a process that has to happen with this in order to actually accomplish the goal and to get where you need to go. And for me right now, it's a meditation. I think I have to get really good at making that a priority every single day. I was doing it for a while, and then school schedule shifted and all of those things, and I got out of the routine. So I think that allowing myself that meditative space to dream about and to envision these goals that I have, because writing this children's series is just one. Like I have a health goal, I have a business goal, I have different goals, but none of them are going to get accomplished if I don't get my head clear first. And if I don't use what Rob is calling the art of allowing and create and dream about these things and create clarity about these things and talk about these things, none of it is going to happen. There is no amount of action that can overpower a lack of vibrational, high, right? Or a bad vibration. So I can grind it out, but that's not going to bring me. And I think, by the way, this is where people go wrong, is they try to grind it out and wrestle the goal to the ground. Can I go write 3 books? Sure. But they're probably not going to be the books I want to write, because I'm not coming from the place I need to be in to write those books. I actually thought about doing it with Sophia at night, like going somewhere with Sophia and having the conversations about fairy world. And then when she goes to bed, writing, and just like stay up writing until they're done. Because we have those conversations, and that's where that inspiration lies. So, what would you say, Rob, if someone's thinking right now what their Q4 goal is, they're by the end of the year, I want to have blank. Where do they start with that? Because you're doing live coaching with me and it's great, but I want it really to apply to them. So if we can just hit some bullets for them.
Well, they're certainly seeing themselves in all of these questions and all of these answers. You can't hear a story and not put yourself in it. That's why the Bible works, right?
I guess that's why I'm in it.
Yeah, you're in it. So they're getting it, and I wouldn't worry about that. They're definitely getting it. There's 2 points that I want to bring up. The first point is there's a nudge that you're getting to do meditation. Really, here's what I think is interesting about meditation. Yes, I think you should use it in the way that you just described, which is to visualize what it is that you want. Meditation and visualization, I guess, are a bit different, but I know what you mean by that. But there's a bigger issue here. One of the most powerful things of getting into meditation is to put yourself in the receptive and allowing state. So when you're free of thinking of what you want to create and you're in the receptive mode, then the messages from the universe for what this book is going to be about can get through. It's kind of like how it got through at that twilight hour for you when I went surfing at 4 a.m, because you're in sort of this receptive state. You're like I said, you're very porous, and your brain is ready to allow it to come in. So one of the things that I would consider doing is finding time to train yourself to get into that receptive state and that state of non-thinking and that state of just allowing what needs to come to you, because it's really, really hard to think of multiple things at the same time. So when you're working on creating something and you're in a character in the book, it's hard to get that inspiration of things to come through because your mind is occupied. That's the first thing.
So how would you do that? Because I wake up, I get a kid, I get school for her, I'm busy, I'm making breakfast for her, lunch for you, workout, I'm trying to fit that in there. All the things. Can you talk to my husband about when I can get into the receptive state?
Well, I don't want to get in between you and your marriage, but here's what I would say. I would say it's like anything else. It's interesting. I saw Michelle Obama getting interviewed recently. I think it was in her documentary, and she was talking about how she was married to, how she is married to Barack. And, he wanted to go to the gym and he wanted to do all these, workouts. And, no matter what, at the end of the day, he made sure he played basketball and he made sure he did it. And she's like, I've got the kids, I've got this. And then one day I just said, I'm going to the gym. And she said, I walked out and I went to the gym and he figured it out. So there's a little bit of you making the decision as you've recently made, where you got intentional about it and you said, you know what, I'm going to get creative here. And I need to be more consistent with my workouts now that I'm homeschooling. You had that homeschooling wrench happen. Then you said, okay, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go downstairs immediately. I'm going to give her, 30 minutes to get the wiggles out, watching this little wiggles thing, little video. And I'm going to use that time to do this. You've also added in, on Sunday, you're going to take, a 5-mile walk to decompress. And you've now become very consistent with both of those things because you were intentional about finding a space for it. And so I would say the next hurdle is just like prior to working out, you're like, I don't know when I'm going to do this. And just like prior to taking walks, it's like, when am I going to have time to just go for a walk? Well, you prioritized it and now it's a part of your system and now you've automated it and now it happens pretty consistently. So it would be, what is the pocket of time that I can do this with? How can I leverage Rob to be able to say, hey, on these days, I'm speaking of myself in third person. How can I leverage Rob these 2 days a week so I can write? So you got to get creative with your time block. So I'll leave that to you, but I want to offer this next piece, which is I'm a big believer in setting up the environment to support what it is that you want to do. So for example, right now, I'm also having an inkling that I want to move to video podcasts.
Oh God, I thought you were going to give me another state or something. You said I want to move to, and I got scared.
No. I want to begin doing in-person video content, video podcasts.
Well,
right?
You chose a really good time for in-person anything.
Well, actually, I did, and I'll tell you why. Because number one, it has not hurt Lewis Howes, it has not hurt Ed Milet. They're all doing in-person stuff. Maybe they're taking their temperature when people come in. I'm not worried about that. But here's the point. I don't want to get derailed on my podcast. The reason why I'm mentioning that is I know that the studio that we're in right now, which is our office, is not set up in the way that I need this set up to support what feels like a studio for me. So until I change this physical environment, build it and they'll come. Until I change this physical environment, I'm not going to get into that next step. So I know I need to do that. For you, I would say, what is a space in the house? Like people have meditation spaces. They're
that I'm glad you're bringing that up. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's a big one for me, because what I was doing in meditation is I was waking up in the morning and I was sending Sophia upstairs with you, and you were making her breakfast so I could stay down and do meditation. And then I hit a point with her where she was like, Mommy, don't do meditation this morning, because she wants me to be with her. And that's hard for me because I'm like, okay, well, I can go upstairs and then I want to work out. And, so I'm really not, and you're taking your first coaching client at 8 a.m. So I'm really compressed for time there,
Yep.
And I know you are too. But when I'm doing meditation, when I wake up and I get out of the bed and the bed's a mess, I'm in the bedroom. It's the only room I really have. I think about going outside, but then I don't like bugs. And so then I'm confused as where to do that. So there is a little bit of that for me, for sure, I don't feel like I have a space to do that because I know she's going to come downstairs. Do you know how many times I've done a meditation and in the middle of it, she's like, Mommy, I got to go potty. Can you wipe my butt? That happens. And so it's hard. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'll wait till the middle of the day or when you have her. But then by the time I get to 1 o'clock, I got shit to do. And so the thought of stopping for 20 minutes to meditate is not a priority on my list, even if it should be. So I don't know what to do with that, honestly, because space is limited in this sweet little bungalow. And I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one of those things that's not going to be solved right now. But what you can do is you could see yourself in a space somewhere that is a small little space with some cushions, a Buddha, some incense, and whatever other hippie shit you need to be able to
all my crystals that I charge.
All your crystals, yeah. Just see yourself. Like right now, I have the same situation with the podcast. I'm like, where the fuck am I going to do it? But I just see myself sitting there doing those interviews, and I see the guests coming over, and I see saying this is the green room here, this is the bathroom, and there's granola bars waiting for them, and we sit down and we laugh, and I've got soundproofing that's behind me, and I've got lights that are set up and cameras that are set up. I don't actually know where that's going to go or how it's going to happen, and I don't know. Maybe we're going to be in a new house, but the idea is that I want you to start stepping into seeing yourself there. And what will happen is you will come up to me tomorrow or the next day or next week, and you'll be like, I never thought about this, but here's what I could do. I can meditate at this time in this place, and I had not even thought of that. So there's a lot of ideas. Like I'm looking out on our patio right here, and we just had like a chair out there, like a little couch out there. And we had our dining room table, our outdoor patio furniture outside in the backyard overlooking the garden. But we weren't using it. It made no sense. And then one day we're like, you know what if we just move all this shit upstairs? And the moment it came upstairs, we clunked right into it.
And we use
as
it all
a family,
the time.
and we use it like literally. It's my morning office. It's my afternoon lunch place. It's our evening dinner place. So you will find that as long as you hold true to that vision.
Okay. So getting back to what we're talking about here, completing goals by the end of Q4, right? So I've got books. I want a consistent meditation workout schedule, which will help me accomplish health goals. This year has been an interesting year in a health journey with a crazy whacked out thyroid and some messed up hormones, and trying to get all of that under control, but still trying to take my own, what I need to do to be strong and fit and limber. I'm missing yoga, like all of that. So meditation workout, that'll help me with that, the book, and, and business goals. So I think, where are people right now? Like, some people are in I'm putting 2020 in the fuck it bucket, and I'm just going to ride it till the end. And then other people are like, I've got momentum. I want to keep going. But what about the people that are just sitting down now and going, you know what? They're right. I need to come up with 1 or 2 things by the end of the year. How would they get started on that? 1, 2, think about this too. I just thought of this. What a great distraction out of the insanity of this year than to put your focus on something else that's going to move you forward, whether it's a health goal or a business goal or some nudge you've been listening to or you've been ignoring. What if you started listening to it now? It would move your focus from all the things going on, the election, I don't know, whatever is coming, attack spiders, who the hell knows what's going to happen through the end of the year. But it can move your focus from all of these crazy things into something positive, even if it's a small thing. Where could someone like that start? Because I think there's a lot of people that have just been trying to survive this, but they're coming out of the fog now, and they're going, okay, I see the end of the year ending. I haven't done anything. Where do I start? Like, where would the first place you have them go? Would it be a have, be, do? Would it be like, what's the nudge that you're getting? Where would you go with that? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, it's fine.
Sensei.
What I would recommend that people do is sort of do an inventory of their life and think about what are the things that by the end of this year in different categories would be exciting for them. Right? So I would ask myself, so if I ended this year in the category of health and fitness, what comes up for me there? Like, what would be exciting? Not, the same damn 10 pounds that you want to lose. Not that shit. Like I just want to feel vital.
What's yours?
For me, mobility. I want to move.
So you can surf.
So I can surf. And but surfing is just the metaphor for life, right?
Yeah.
It's just the ability, like I want to be able to bend down and pick something up and not go, oh, my back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me.
That's what I like there is this focus on quality of life versus like a number on a scale.
Yeah.
Because the number on the scale is not quality of life.
Well, like, for example, I've got as a goal in health and fitness to hit 149 pounds, but the why behind it is because I want to be lighter and more mobile so I can enjoy the surfing ride.
Yeah, but that's what you got to focus on, right?
That's
you have to focus on that why that's there. So, okay, so what are the life areas they're going to examine here? So health and fitness.
Yep, business and career. What pops up for you for business? Hey, I want to grow this thing. Or career, I want to change my career. I want to do something else, right? So again, what I'm encouraging you to do is to not think about logical next steps. I want you to be fulfilled. I want you to be excited. I want you to say like, I don't love this career anymore. I just really want to do something else. Or I love this career, but I'm not making any money. I got to figure out how to make money at this, right? So what comes up. Next one is family and friends. So, like, what does that look like? And these are broad stroked categories or broad stroke categories, let's say. Like in that category, I've got EU passport. Well, what does that have to do with it? Well, for family, right? When our family gets an EU passport, it changes a lot of things for us. It allows us to live in Europe for an extended period of time if we choose to. So that's one of the things that lights me up when I think about holding that passport, walking through customs in Italy and going, I can go on the EU line now. I'll have to change my shoes because they'll look and they'll go, no way. I don't believe
you're
that you're an American. The next category would be relationships and romance. We can all use, I've got a coaching client right now that I'm working with, and, they have a good relationship, but it's not where they want it to be. And it is really bothering them that for whatever the reason is, when they look at all the major areas of their life, their relationship just is always lower, and they want to do certain things to raise it. So that's another category. Another category would be finance and savings. Like, for us, it's automating our savings so that every 90 days, we increase the amount of money we save each week by 10%. And it's always a little difficult to do, but once you do it, it grows. And then you look back on it, you're like, okay, well, it's just become very normal now. Like, on Tuesdays, I just get a withdrawal there, right? From my account. Next one is the area of personal development. What do you want to do there? Do you want to go to an event? Do you want to read a book?
Can I say something on that one?
Yeah.
So I was just on one of my team calls last night, and we were talking about personal development because in my business with network marketing, it's personal development. There's a lot of things. And what I was telling them is, and it applies here, what area are you weak? Find the area that you're weak and do something to lean in on that area, even if it's just 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Maybe you're weak in money mindset. Maybe you have insane limiting beliefs. You're not good enough. You don't deserve things. Like, what are your limiting beliefs or the area that you're weak? Maybe it's in business. Like, personal development could be so many things, right? There's an incredible breadth of information there, and there's unlimited resources, God knows, for personal development. So clear the cobwebs. Like, what's the first thing you think of in personal development for yourself as a weak area that you would like to improve and lean in there? Yeah,
I love that because it's very easy, as a guy to go to the gym and do bench presses, and it's easy for girls to do legs, because that's the area that you're always focusing on. But you know what I mean? So it's very easy to do that because that's your dominant. But where are you weak? Go to, that was well said. Next one is fun and recreation. That one's a tough one for people, because
that is not a tough one for you.
It's not, but it was at some point in my life because there were other things that were pulling against me. I have a friend now that, he scores very low in the area of fun and recreation. It's difficult for him. He's extremely good at business, extremely good.
What do you like to do for fun? Business.
Yeah. It's really tough. So recreation. So if you want to frame it as, fun, fun for me, could be skateboarding, and recreation for me could be surfing. But, you get the idea.
What's funny is we put so much emphasis on making our children well-rounded and making sure that they take art and music and that they have dance class and that they have bike riding time and all of those things. But as an adult, we don't do that for ourselves. Right. So like I had started volleyball, you're surfing. That is the fun recreation point of the evening. So I think that's a really good one. So take all of those categories Rob just mentioned. Hopefully they'll get added to the show notes, and find what comes up for you and what you would like. So now they've done this. Now you gave them 900 categories. How do they decipher which one to lean in on or two, but through the end of the year?
I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is meditation, right? Once you get into that receptive mode, and then you look at, you have that, take the categories, each of the categories I gave you, come up with one answer for each of them that kind of feels like not a logical next step, but something that you're called to do, right? And then look at that list, meditate, get yourself into that receptive mode where you're allowing information to come in, and then look at it and say, well, if I was looking at this list and I can only do one of them, if I had to pick and I can only do one, what is the one thing that if I looked at the calendar and it said December 31st and this thing was actively in my life, right? Actively had it. We'll use the example of surfing. December 31st, I am surfing and I'm looking at, a regular classes of surfing. How does that feel? Does that feel exciting? Do you love that? Or if you look at it and say, for me, it was making a decision to be in a different career. Maybe you're in a career right now and you're like, I just don't love this, but you've made the decision where you're working on, not quitting your day job, but you're working on the second career. I did that with chiropractic. I had to do chiropractic while I was podcasting. I was seeing patients, running in the x-ray room, talking to people on the phone about my mastermind. So I was doing two things at once, but I was excited because I loved the idea of it. So look at the thing, what the thing, like if you're in the receptive mode and you're in the right zone, what that thing is that you would love to end December 31st with. And I can't caution you enough to not make that thing to, if you're making 100,000 a year, to say, I want to make 150 and that's my thing. I'm going all in on that. Like it's almost a cop out to do that. What is the weak area that you just, like for Kim, we opened this with, she has been wanting to write since as long as she can remember, since first grade, right? And for whatever the reason is, she has not created the book. And now she's taking action and ready to begin that process. What's that thing for you that would light you up at the end of the year? Helpful?
I love that.
All right. Well, that's it, everybody. Hope that little live coaching session helped you and you were able to see some tips, tricks, and strategies in what you're trying to create. And
happy Q4.
Happy 4Q. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode and you know someone that needs some help in either stepping up their work hard game or their play hard game, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with them to help me get this movement out there. So if you like what you heard, head on over to iTunes, take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. So until the next episode, excuses are over. It's time to live.